Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the Sell the News event in front of us right now? Are you happy? I've been warning you for weeks about the Bitcoin Sell the News on the ETF approval. Because right now, in 2 days, Bitcoin has gone from 48K all the way below 43. Buy the rumor, sell the news is always what happens. And all of you are now learning that lesson. Guys, before I get into the powerful information for the day, I have to say that on my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/thebearablebull, I just hosted an emergency AMA 2 days ago that has prepared my community for the upcoming bull market and for what is likely to happen in the immediate short term. We have our plans ready in place already. And for those of you in that community, that is currently being posted and will be up shortly. Now, for those of you at home, we understand that the buy the rumor, sell the news has been fully activated. We've seen the Bitcoin pullback. But despite all of this, the ETF having gone approved is the biggest piece of news for the trickle effect to leak into the rest of the crypto industry. Here, we had on Bloomberg the Valkyrie CEO stating a, quote, Ripple ETF is on the way. And likely after this. And in addition, Good Morning Crypto shared this clip from Charles Gasparito on Fox asking Larry Fink if an XRP ETF could be on the way. Larry Fink did not answer the question, but I think his comments are very telling. His silence is telling. The Bitcoin ETF being approved opened the floodgates. And now, Ethereum and XRP are next in line, and it's being discussed by some of the highest level CEOs.
Also remember, something to watch tomorrow, these questions will start pouring in. First, is Grayscale and the other crypto-focused issuers going to start looking at other crypto assets? Ethereum, Valkyrie, said people are looking at Ripple ETFs already, for example.
Is this, will you do another ETF? How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right, they're giving me the rap. Thank you.
Now, guys, despite the little spats Charles Gasparito has with the XRP community on Twitter, he has been doing an excellent objective job recently on asking some hard-hitting questions that I appreciate. Job well done. And I think Larry Fink's refusal to answer is telling. If there were no XRP ETFs in the cards, he would flat out say no, and that's just my general opinion. But I think most of you agree. Now, we have more high net worth individuals like Raul Paul, for example, who's a known crypto bull, going on the Scott Metler podcast, talking about how Bitcoin ETFs is only the beginning. The institutional crypto trading will kick off with Bitcoin, but ultimately shift to trading of the altcoins and lower cap cryptos for their ROI and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why I'm an altcoin investor. I'm unbelievably aggressive with the ROI and alts, and all of you know this. But right here, right now, don't just listen to me say it. Listen to one of my favorite macro investors let you know the same thing.
I think people underestimate just how degenerate these TradFi guys are. And once they come in through the Bitcoin ETF, and once they get a taste for this market, wait until they find out about meme coins and altcoins and NFTs. And that real liquidity comes in there. So I think that we get the inevitable trickle down of even institutional traders. I'm not saying that pension funds are buying punks, but I think that there's going to be just an unexpected boom in capital, and that's going to flow through that same cycle that we talked about before.
Everybody's been through that cycle. You have, I have, everybody. Is you come in on Bitcoin, and then you walk into the candy store, and it's like, holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And before you know it, you're doing ridiculous things you should never be doing.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure it's the same with all of us in regards to that exact same process. Altcoins will have a rally, but as you listened in my recent interview with Waters Above just 2 days ago, we may be in for a little bit more of a bumpy road before we really explode. Here, Gary Gensler states there is an irony in the midst of this. Satoshi Nakamoto said this was going to be a decentralized system, but this has led to centralization, and the ETF getting approved is the beginning of this. Look at the maxis cheering for BlackRock. Look at the maxis cheering for Wall Street. The maxis are not some idealists that want a revolution and freedom. They want you to pump their bags. They just want to make money. Think about the irony of those who say this week is historic. This was about centralization and traditional means of finance that investors who could already express themselves in Bitcoin could already before this week buy it through major brokerage houses. But now you can buy it through this thing called an ETF, which is centralized. I can't stress this enough. My next video that I'm going to post will break down the nefarious reasons why I believe a Bitcoin ETF was approved. But here, watch Gary Gensler's words on the recent Bitcoin ETF approval.
Look, no doubt there are innovations within this field, and those innovations, which I taught about at MIT, around a ledger system. It's just an accounting system called the blockchain technology. But there's an irony in the midst of this. Satoshi Nakamoto said this was going to be a decentralized system. And finance, this has led to centralization. Think about the irony of those who say this week is historic. This was about centralization and traditional means of finance that investors who could already express themselves in Bitcoin, you could already, before this week, buy it through major brokerage houses, but now you can buy it through this thing called an exchange-traded product
but the
as
underlying
well,
asset still has
centralized.
The underlying asset still has the decentralized, distributed ledger, all those characters. That sounds like a... I don't know. That sounds like
no, Andrew. With all respect, there's a lot of centralization here, and even the underlying ledger is largely the Bitcoin's produced by a handful of mining companies and the like. And so I'm just saying now, in terms of monetary history, we have a dollar, we have a yen, we have a euro, we have the renminbi, and there's a reason for it because we do have a common economy that relies on those currencies.
Now, guys, what I think is so interesting about Gary Gensler's comments is that he says the quiet part out loud. He calls out the maxis' hypocrisy. And despite the fact that we don't like Gary is a weasel. That part was true. Here, Larry Fink was on Bloomberg discussing the future, and when Gary Fink talks, I think you all should listen. This is how we decipher the lizard talk. We listen to the reptilian speak, and then we adapt, find the truth within it. He states the dominant form of bringing products going forward will be the form of an ETF. This means that the big boys are going to come for our alts next. Buy the rumor, sell the news for Bitcoin is in full effect, as you can clearly see. But now they're pivoting to Ethereum, and ETH ETF is likely next, and XRP ETF is on the horizon as well. I believe this to be true. And I cap off this video for today. I'm going to leave you with Larry Fink. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Explain that move into ETFs. How far does it go?
When we bought BGI in 2009, we were ridiculed by most of the financial community saying you cannot marry the culture of an active investor, who we were, and a passive culture. And we said, why? Our clients use both products. Our job is to be agnostic to our clients, to work with our clients, and to provide a whole portfolio solution. But over time, more and more clients started to think about, how do I want to get an exposure? Do I want an exposure in this area or this product? And I could do that through actively investing in ETFs. In 2012, we said, ETFs are going to be the new engine for fixed income. And boy, did that get a lot of ridicule by many people in the business community. And today, the fixed income markets are totally imbued by ETFs. And so at BlackRock, when we bought BGI, we had $290 billion of ETFs. Today we have $3.5 trillion. And then this week alone, just yesterday, we launched the iShares Bitcoin ETF. And so I would say to you, if we could ETF a Bitcoin, imagine what we could do with all financial instruments. And so what we announced in our architectural change, iShares was this business division in itself. And we thought that's too exclusive. We needed to include the ethos, the philosophy, the spirituality of what iShares can provide in everything we do at BlackRock. Because we believe we're just halfway there in the ETF revolution, that everything is going to be ETF'd. And we needed to ensure both active products, passive products, digital products are going to be used through the vehicle of ETFs. At the same time, in this architectural change, we're elevating the whole concept that we are going to be curating more and more of our performance-based products too. So it's a very large architectural change. A lot of people have asked me, iShares is the most successful division within BlackRock. Look what it did. Why are you doing this now? And we believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move. I would also say on the beginnings of a ETF Bitcoin, we believe ETFs are a technology no different than Bitcoin was a technology for asset storage. We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities around bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we can customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual. We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stocks. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. I believe if you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote their own shares.
Is this the end of mutual funds?
I think, well, a lot of people, it's a wrapper. It's not the end of it, but I would say the dominant form of bringing products going forward will be in the form of ETFs.